Welcome back. I'm John Hale, and I am a Maryland backyard beekeeper. In today's episode, we're going to do hive inspections again. So we have the added nuke this week from the swarm that I caught last week. So we have the third hive. So the first part, we're going to focus on the new hive, the nuke, with the swarm that I caught that's in there. Then we're going to go over and do the hive inspection for the other two hives. Just to make sure that everything's progressing along with the space that we added and the resources to make sure they have the right resources and that the hives are healthy. So if you like what you see, follow along, hit the subscribe button, and hope to see you back. Thanks. Alright, so as I said, we're going to start off with the new swarm that we caught into the 5-frame nuke. I'm going to start by just smoking a little bit of the front and the back. I've already popped the lid loose on this, so I know I can get it off here pretty easily. So this nuke has been here for 7 days, roughly, since the swarm was placed in it. I have not opened this box since we caught the swarm. So this is just going to be a quick inspection to look at the progress that they've made with drawing out comb and putting any resources in. The foundations that I placed in here in the frames, it was simply that. It was just straight plastic foundations, waxed plastic foundations in wooden frames. There was no drawn comb in here at all, so the bees have been doing all the work. I have been using an entrance feeder, which I know is not the most ideal solution, but it was what I had on hand. I have been using an entrance feeder to give them sugar water to help with their energy needs as they add the wax to the foundations. So I start on the north end just to kind of take a peek, and once again I'm not really looking for anything from a bee perspective. I'm just checking the population, making sure the population's good, but more importantly making sure that they're progressing with building out the comb necessary to store future eggs and or resources. So as you get further and further in the nuke towards the south side, which is the side closest to the camera, the bees are more clustered, and they've drawn out more comb. And they've actually drawn the most amount of comb on these foundations closest to the camera, which honestly is a little odd sometimes, but bees tend to stick to the middle. But this particular hive has gone to the south side, probably because of the warmth from the south side. But they have drawn out quite a bit of comb, and they're actually storing resources in that comb already. So there's some pollen in there, along with some sugar water that's been stored. I was trying to see if there were any eggs in there, and there were not. There were no signs of any eggs in any of the comb that was in the nuke so far, but I'm not really discouraged by that. They've only been in there for a week. A lot of resources, but yeah, they're starting to store food and pollen, so which was a good sign that they've accepted this, and this is going to be their new home. one of the things I have decided, since I now have this new uh, hive, is I've gone ahead and ordered some new A-frame equipment for this to move into ultimately. But I've also ordered a hive top feeder for this 5-frame nuke, with the assumption that I may have this happen again in the future, even after I move this to a 8-frame hive. So I have gone ahead and bought a 5-frame top, uh, 5-frame nuke top feeder. I don't have it yet, but when I get it, I'll put it on this hive to replace the entrance feeder, to try to cut down on any robbing that may come about because of that. So once again, just a quick pop in, make sure the bees are going well. I think they are doing fairly well. So just smoke them down and then put the lid back on, and we'll come and visit them again in another week to see how they're progressing. All right, so now we've moved over to the other two frames, or the other two hives that I have. We're going to start with the middle hive, what I used to call hive number 1. And once again, we placed the second deep root box on these, and the hive top feeders. They're not really drinking a lot out of the hive top feeders, but they are starting to build comb in the second hive body, the top. In the area that I live in, what I want to get to is I want to get to 2 really well-developed deep hive bodies for each hive, to get them through the winter. I think 2 hot deeps of 8-frame equipment will get my bees through the winter from a resource perspective. My bees, like most bees that I've read about and watched, they don't really do much on the far outside frames. They build on the inside of the outside frame, but not really on the outside of the outside frame. So even though it's 8-frame equipment, in reality, I really have 7 frames worth of space available to the bees. Top frame, they're just starting to kind of build comb out in there. It's not really a lot in there, but I'm going to check down the bottom, make sure they're storing resources properly. So the way I did my frame spacing, is I have the nuke frames in the middle that were 5-frame nuke. I put 2 frames on the north side, 2 empty frames on the north side, and 1 on the south side. I'm sorry, I get that backwards. I put 1 on the north side and 2 on the south side. So I'm just checking the north side frames to see how they're being drawn out. Once again, on the far outside, not much work, but on the inside of that frame, they have drawn out the comb very nicely and are actually storing resources in there. So I took that frame out to make room, and at this point I'm going to go through the frames in the hive and check for anything unusual. Once again, check for swarm cells. Make sure the brood pattern is proper. Make sure they have the right amount of stores, etc. Just make sure the bees are healthy. I'm not looking for the queen at this point. I just want to make sure that I see signs that the queen is in there and doing well. So typical frame, honey in the top corners, and brood in the middle. That is the supersedure cell that I saw in there, so I'm going to pull that out.
No more swarming.
I am almost positive that this hive did swarm. Both hives swarmed about a week ago. So, but I have a good set of cat brood in there, and my assumption is that the queen has already emerged and has done her mating business. The cat brood that's in there is probably from the original queen, which is now in one of the, possibly in the first nuke that I looked at.
See her. She's down there. brood. Look pretty good. Get down. Ladies, get down. No. Ladies, get down.
So, after doing the inspection and just putting the frames, putting the hive back together, once again stacking the double deep on top, the next deep on top, along with the hive top feeder. It still had some sugar water in it, so still had some resources in there for them to consume. With the nectar flow being on, they're not really drinking too much of the sugar water, which is to be expected. They'll consume it when they need it. I did go ahead and top off the sugar water that was in there. I think I added about a half gallon. Once again, the sugar water that I'm using at this point is 1-to-1 sugar water, 1 part sugar, 1 part water by weight, which mimics more of the nectar water flow. And then this is the last hive, hive number 2, which is the far right hive on the top of the hill behind my house. Once again, same thing, we're just going to do a quick inspection, take a peek at the top, see how they're drawing it out, and then really kind of focus on the bottom part to make sure that things are progressing along and that they have the proper amount of stores and resources. I have been asked by some friends in the local beekeeping club about my hive tool. Like I said, I do consider myself a Maryland backyard beekeeper, and that hive tool is custom painted with the Maryland flag on it. A, so I know it's my tool, but B, to kind of show the pride in the Maryland flag. Not a lot of weight in the top. Once again, they're still just drawing that out.
no fanning.
So the inspection's kind of complete at this point. I'm just going to put the hive back together. Once again, my goal is to try to get everything ready so that into winter I'll have 2 deep hive bodies with enough resources for them to get through winter. I have received questions about, not getting honey this year. I have no intention of pulling honey off these hives this year. Although, if it happens, it happens, but it's not the goal. Right now, I'm really worried about building up the comb and getting everything ready so that they can survive the winter. So, with that wraps up this hive inspection. I hope you liked what you saw. And if you do, please stick around and visit us again on the next update. Thanks a lot, guys.